Mr. Klein, Brokоф, good evening. Europe today is facing a lot of challenges in political and economic sense. Having in mind the upcoming elections, can you tell us more about the battle of ideologies that will be on the stage and political battles? What do you expect of these elections?
Well, we saw it today, in fact, with President Macron in 28 different papers across Europe in all member states, publishing an essay which in some ways is a continuation of his Sorbonne speech, of a French president who is engaging, as you put it, in the battle of ideas, and he clearly positions himself as the antidote against the populists across Europe, and he's continuing by supporting a set of ideas and reform ideas that he's put forward previously and following up on them.
So do you think that that will be the main battle between the progressive forces who are promoting European standards and values and the populists, as you said? That will be the main...
I think that's the sort of the main fault line across our countries today, is the battle of ideas between the sort of traditional school of European integration and the nationalists who have found that the nation state got short thrift in the integration agenda.
Are you afraid of maybe rising the right-wing parties and the
it is
number
clear
of...
that, yes, it is clear that they will. The question is to what degree. So in one way that's a good thing, because Europe gets the representation it wants at this time, and it didn't have that.
It will be a picture of reality.
It's a picture of reality, and it's a good thing that we have a picture of reality. That, I think, is what democracy is all about. There's no idea that to suppressing something. I want it out there, but I want to engage with it. And so the European Parliament is a pretty good place to do that. Now, of course, the decision-making and majority-building within the European Parliament will be much harder, of course.
But how dangerous this can be in aspect of European future? And do you think that maybe the result of the elections somehow will determine the path of European Union? Do you think maybe, because Mr. Macron also said that some kind of reconstruction of the Union will be needed, so do you think that maybe that thesis will be? I
think what we need is first of all, a reconstruction of liberalism. And liberalism meaning liberal democracy as a set of rules that include democracy and democratic voting and majority principle, but also protect minorities against the rule of the majority. That's liberal democracy, and that is under attack, and it is under attack from within. So I think I see this as a way station on a path in which European countries, and not just European countries, but also the United States, our Western civilization, is going through to sort of reconnect with its citizens and to take in a critique that we're hearing from them. Although some of the medicine that is being served by the nationalists seems rather not only outdated but even dangerous to me.
And this year is politically very interesting, not only about the elections, but also because there is a Brexit process ongoing. How do you think how do you estimate the influence of Brexit, of the elections and of the future of European Union?
Now, Brexit, of course, is not a pretty picture. I mean, nobody can say that. First of all, the idea that the Brits are leaving, we're still shedding tears about the Brits going.
We still can't believe it's really happening.
It's still the idea that the Brits are leaving is somehow not acceptable to a good European.
They also cannot believe, actually.
Yes,
for them, it's also a difficult
thing. So then the
thing.
second question is, what is the consequences? The first consequence is, I think the process is so messy, as governed by the British Parliament and its negotiation with the European Union, that it's not pretty to anybody and it's not an attraction to anybody. So I think we will see countries thinking twice about whether they want to leave the European Union, and if they do, they need to have a better idea about the process of what they want to achieve and how they want to achieve it. So that's the first consequence. The second consequence is for Britain itself. There will be economic consequences that I don't think anybody has thought through. And then this third set of consequences that were underestimated for the European Union itself. The European Union consequences are not just economic, but in terms of our relationship to Ireland and to the whole idea of an open and free, not only market, but access of people. Because the British system, the Brits will be it's not just a country leaving us, because it's a country that has left for a reason, and we need to address the reason of why the Brits left. And those are not just ideas that the Brits have. Many in Europe have those as well.
Yeah, that's what I would like to ask also, because do you think that you cannot speak about the other countries, but do you think that maybe it can somehow provoke this type of processes in other countries? And
I think that's what Mr. Macron is talking about. The renaissance or rebirth will also need to constitute of the fact that you can't just say that all the people who in Poland, in Hungary, in my country are voting nationalist, that you can't ignore them. You can't ignore the ideas that the critique that they're bringing forward, and some of the critique has a reason. So while I don't subscribe to the answers that the nationalists give, the normal European political center will need to address some of the security issues, some of the control issues, some of the integration issues, some of the migration issues. All of that, it needs to be on the agenda of Europe.
It looks like a really responsible approach you're advocating. And you're coming from Berlin, and when we're talking about the European Union and when we mention Germany, we usually think about one of the pillar countries. And how do you see the position of Germany vis-a-vis European Union?
I mean, for Germany, the European Union is indispensable. It's part of the integration project of getting post-war Germany back on track, back into to be a respected country. So integration, whether that be into NATO or whether it be into the United Nations or whether it be into the EU, integration of Germany has been the main goal of policy. I would say Germany today in Europe is the ultimate status quo power. It doesn't want a revision, it doesn't want a revolution, it wants to retain the system. And therefore it needs to work. Now you can say it hasn't done so well in the last couple of years or has done well, depends on your opinion on it, but as a strategic position, I think Germany will remain to be a key Europeanist country.
In the end, I'm just going to ask you about Balkans, because this year we have good news from Balkan areas for change. The name deal with Greece and North Macedonia. And how do you estimate this agreement, and how do you think that these events are going to influence, to have an influence in the European Union?
Now we've had so many bad news in the last few years of different crises percolating throughout the world that when you think of doing a threat assessment, you see more threats than positive elements. The resolution of the name issue clearly is one of the positive elements. I'm looking at what can the resolution of this issue have for positive knock-on effect. The first positive knock-on effect, of course, is the path to NATO is clear. The second is what can it do regionally? Can it be exemplary for other regional issues? We have open issues still. Yeah, there's open issues. Can it help to get regional issues on track? And the third one is, can it help to have to move forward the EU accession agenda? Those are the three baskets, I would say, on positive knock-on effects.